And tonight on the Daily Wrap, Washington Post legendary reporter Bob Woodward now speaking out about the Hillary Clinton email scandal, and it ain't pretty. Donald Trump still on top of the polls. Can he really win the nomination? And will the Iran deal pass Congress? This is the Daily Wrap, live from New York City. And welcome to the show, everybody. I'm Joe Concha, along with my co-host Rick Unger. Is it true that you have homebrewed servers at each of your properties around the world?
Absolutely. It's all part of my effort to secretly take over the world.
Wow.
And it's going rather well, I might add.
So what do you think about all these unclassified revelations?
I'm going to sound a little bit of a caution. As you know, I have not been happy about the news as it's been coming out, but the revelation today that there may be 300 some classified documents, those are documents that, from what, if you look a little closer to what's being said, they may be classifiable. So we got to be a little bit cautious here. I fear that, the media is starting to get a little carried away with this. I think they're going to get the story they want at the end of the day. But let's stick to the realities and the facts. Let's not get too crazy here. These 305 are not things that were marked top secret. Let's just be careful.
Okay, well, to your right is a gentleman that I'm sure agrees with you on that, Rick, and that is former FBI special agent. He's also a former Navy SEAL and currently the president of Continued Services. He is Jonathan Gillian. And finally, Forbes.com columnist and Emmy winner. He is Bill Tucker. It must be Monday. All right, welcome everyone.
Bring your Emmy with you.
Do you want me to?
I want you to
bring the Emmy.
I'll bring it in. I'll put it right in between John or Heather, whoever's in the middle seat.
Yeah, put it in front there.
Not
Okay.
Heather today.
Clearly.
Let's get right to the daily download. And in federal court today, the State Department reported more than 300 of Hillary Clinton's State Department private server emails have been flagged for containing potential confidential information. The Obama administration said in a statement, and we quote, "Out of a sample of approximately 20% of the Clinton emails, the IC reviewers have only recommended 305 documents, approximately 5.1%, for referral to their agencies for consultation." Obviously, the White House trying to spin the news. Conversely, Bob Woodward, the Washington Post reporter responsible for breaking on the Watergate scandal, along with, of course, it was Woodward and Bernstein, so let's not give him all the credit, is not trying to spin anything.
You've got a massive amount of data. It, in a way, reminds me of the Nixon tapes. Thousands of hours of secretly recorded conversations that Nixon thought were exclusively his, that he was not going to get them. Hillary Clinton initially took that position. I'm not turning this over. There's going to be no cooperation. Now they're cooperating, but this has to go on a long, long time, and the answers are probably not going to be pretty.
That's Woodward on Morning Joe this morning. Mrs. Clinton, meanwhile, during an interview with Iowa Public Radio, continued to go along with the narrative that she did nothing wrong.
I never sent nor received any classified email, nothing marked classified, and I think this will all sort itself out. And in a way, it's kind of an interesting insight into how the government operates, because if I had not asked for my emails all to be made public, none of this would have been in the public arena.
Tremendous pictures that we chose of Mrs. Clinton. Anyway,
editorializing going on there, just ask
a little bit. Okay, as a matter of fact, she is out right now. She is out right now joking about it.
By the way, you may have seen that I recently launched a Snapchat account. I love it. I love it. Those messages disappear all by themselves.
And now Vegas, MGM Grand, now posting at even odds that she has never said the word Snapchat in her entire life until that moment. I currently have a Snapchat account, turned into like 3 words somehow. Anyway, Rick, all right. So everything that you've seen this weekend, first of all, is this the way you would have advised Mrs. Clinton to respond to all of this by making a joke?
Well, in front of a friendly audience, it's not a bad idea. She wasn't talking to the panel here; she was talking to.
But that goes out to the country. You know.
Yeah, I didn't think it was that great of a joke. But no, if you want to complain about Hillary, there's much better stuff to complain about than the fact that you didn't like her joke.
But it seems like she's taking it not seriously. You understand?
Well, that's what she's got to do. I mean, she's got a big problem. But now I will tell you this: Democrats everywhere would be smiling at the suggestion that the Obama White House is spinning on behalf of Hillary. Because most Democrats are fairly certain that the Obama White House is digging the hole underneath Hillary. They are not being supportive. Look, it's the Obama Justice Department that's probably going to come down pretty heavy on her. So I think that we might be going off track when we suggest that. I think most of us are pretty clear that the Obama White House would like their vice president to run for the presidency, and they're not being supportive of Hillary Clinton.
You're saying Valerie Jarrett is probably in the Biden camp instead of the Clinton camp?
I don't think there's any question.
Yeah. What did you think of Bill Clinton playing golf with Barack Obama, President Obama this weekend? But no, I don't care about that aspect. What I care about is, do you think they ever had a conversation like, your Justice Department really is going to look into this?
You know,
are they, Barack?
Whatever conversation they had, I assure you, we will never know what it is.
We won't, will we?
No, so, who knows what they talked about. And by the way, they didn't plan on playing together. They literally ran into each other.
You actually believe that?
Yeah, I really do. I really do.
How does a president or next president have to run into each other?
That's a great question, Joe.
I honestly don't know how we ever deliver news with anything attaching reality if we have to be cynical about every possibility. He was playing. No, it's really.
I'm not saying that's anything criminal.
Wait. No, excuse me. You know how big that golf course is where they are?
Yeah.
There was probably
like 18 holes there.
Yeah, and there was probably maybe 100 people playing golf that day. President Clinton has vacationed up there forever. The Obamas have vacationed up there forever. Clinton was out with his best friend Vernon Jordan. Obama was out there reading each other. Guys, not everything is a conspiracy, for God's sakes.
No,
I don't know how you go through life looking behind every bush.
I'm not
they
even
didn't plan the meeting.
Guy.
They weren't planning a meeting. They ran into each other.
Conspiracy guy. It's the president of the United States. It's not like he ran into Joe. I believe it was a coincidence if he ran into. Just it's nothing to do with conspiracy. He's a president.
It was a coincidence.
And he's a former president.
Just say you're playing together. You're a foursome and you're playing together. Don't say like, oh, we happen to bump into each other. Oh, by the way, each were only playing with one other person. You always play in a foursome.
No, you don't. I play in twosomes all the time. And by the way,
you have no friends.
What basis do you have to suggest it was anything but a coincidence? Because you have trouble believing that two very important guys, and by the way, there were other important guys that day on that golf course, like Vernon Jordan, can't run into each other. There were about 100 people in that golf course, would be my estimation. It's a very private club, and you don't get.
It's public.
It's public. I played it too. You were on a different golf course. I played the private course up there, and that's what they were playing.
Of course you did. You're the richest 1%.
They have 19 holes on that one.
Okay, we've gone sideways.
I can't believe we spent 2 minutes because we have to question everything Obama does as a conspiracy.
It's not true. We spent 2 minutes and 15 seconds on this. All right, Jonathan, the email scandal.
Let's go back to the real problem here.
Yes, exactly.
Here's the thing. First off, let's look at all these things that were said. Out of all the emails, they're looking at 300 so far, right, that have been marked. You only need one.
They weren't marked, the new ones. They aren't marked. They're reviewing to see if it had data.
You only need one email.
I agree.
That's classified to get her in trouble, if she was anybody else but Hillary Clinton, which is, to me, big time.
These are the ones that she turned over. I can only imagine what the other ones.
That's the other thing I was getting at. They only turned over 50,000 pages of emails, which is not 50,000. I mean, emails. That's I don't know how many emails that actually is, but it's nowhere close to all the emails that she used and sent. The other thing is, you don't have to use or you don't have to send or receive. If you have them on your server, that's against the law.
Right.
So all these things that she's saying, and then going on, and whether she's amongst people that support her or not, joking about this. Not only is that an insult to the national security of this country and anybody who may have lost their lives because of this information, but also, here's the other thing, criminals love to minimize what they do wrong. That's what I see everybody doing with her in her campaign, is minimizing by telling jokes.
So do politicians. And I actually agree with virtually everything you just said. I really do. You're right. It only takes one to break the law. Right. My only point in highlighting this is that people keep it straight. What you should criticize her for on those 300 emails, even if they weren't marked top secret, she should have been discerning enough to know that they shouldn't have been on a server.
Don't take the job if you can.
Or just not have a server at your house. Maybe that would have been the way to go, which we all agree on. Okay. So what do you think of of Hillary Clinton joking about her email server? Let us know. Don't go to Snapchat. Go to newsmaxtv.com/comments and let us know. Okay, we want to know your choice for the 2016 nomination. Let us know at newsmaxpolls.com. More Daily Wrap right after this.
Welcome back to Golf Daily. Oh, wait a minute, that's the Daily Wrap. The latest presidential polls are out, and wait for it, surprise, Donald Trump continues to lead the GOP race. According to the Fox News poll, Trump remains steady at 25%, while Ben Carson makes a 5-point jump into second place, grabbing the support of 12% of those polled. Ted Cruz moves up to third with 10%, representing a 4% improvement over the last polling period. Meanwhile, Jeb Bush has lost 6 points, taking him from second place down to fourth in just 2 weeks. Scott Walker is also a big loser with a 3-point drop. Now, in an interview from the Iowa State Fair on Morning Joe today, Bloomberg Politics managing editor Mark Halperin had some interesting observations regarding the Donald.
The reception Trump got here was not just about celebrity. I walked with him for 45 minutes after the helicopter ride he came to the fair, and people were yelling things to him with passion. Save us. You're the only one who can stop Hillary. Thank you for making America great again. The other campaigns, the other leading Republican campaigns, monitored Trump's behavior here. And that was part, along with the Fox poll and along with the developments of the last couple of weeks, of them saying, as you just quoted, they now believe Trump can win Iowa.
Halperin added that there is now a belief among the GOP establishment that Trump could just go all the way and win the White House. Bill Maher also weighed in on Donald Trump's rise in Iowa.
Let me ask before we run out of time about Donald Trump in Iowa, because I think this is a giant story. I didn't see anybody talking about it today, that Donald Trump is ahead in Iowa, because it's the one place that people said Donald Trump was not going to do well because he's a New Yorker. This says so much about the electorate. Yeah. Even the evangelicals want to be called on their shit. They are desperate to have somebody lead them. Somebody say, you know what? I just don't bend to your bullshit. And Donald Trump, I got to say, I don't agree with him on a lot, but I kind of get him. We kind of been doing the same thing.
The same politically incorrect stuff, right?
Right. Bill Tucker.
Yes.
Those guys have it right?
Oh, they have it dead right. Yeah. That's exactly right. I wish everybody in this race, even the Democratic side, would just take the lesson and just get out and start being blunt and start being direct and start saying what they mean and stop apologizing and trying to wiggly waffle around and say, oh, I'm sorry, Jonathan, if I offended you. I didn't really mean to offend you, but I hope you were offended, even though I hope you weren't. Right. I mean, what? Stop
In other words, stop being politicians.
Yes, stop being politicians. And that's his appeal.
But Jonathan, isn't Trump being a politician when he comes out and gives very firm potential solutions when the honest answer is, look, today's today. Let's take Iran. Whatever the conditions are today, they're probably going to be different by the time I get to the White House. Ask me then what my policy is going to be when I've had the chance to talk to people, when I have the chance to be fully briefed by, information I can't have today. Wouldn't that be the non-political answer?
Well, look, he's jumped into a political arena, so he has to talk, somewhat politically. He has to be, somewhat political. But the reality is, what he's saying, the things that he's saying, he was saying before he ran, before he started his official run, that America's in trouble and all these different solutions that he's kind of talked about, the different situations that the country's in. But he's going to have to appease. He's going to have to kind of flow in and around certain things. There's no doubt about that. But as long as he sticks to what he's doing now, he's resonating, I believe, to enough people to at least win the Republican nomination, I think, the way he's going. But I do want to say one other thing. You said that Scott Walker your words were a big loser in this poll.
He slipped.
Yeah, I think Scott Walker was a big loser way before this poll. Well, I think Scott Walker is a terrible.
Well, on that, actually, we could go to Joe, because Joe had a great column.
Well, I also want to ask Joe, though, you just listened to what our buddies here had to say, and it was interesting because Bill's saying he's not being a politician. And Gillum here is saying, well, he has to be a politician.
No, I'm saying I'm not saying he's a politician. I'm saying he has to do some political things.
Well, that's being a politician.
No, he has to stand.
You're just saying he's not being as political as some of the other ones.
Environment, so he's going to have to.
But he has to stand somewhere.
You be the judge.
He's being Donald Trump, and he's being a businessman. And part of being a businessman is being a politician. Right, and what he does, which I think is genius, by the way, is you know how Barack Obama or Hillary Clinton says, I've evolved on gay marriage or other issues that they had one position, then they went with the political wins and they went with another. What Trump does, he doesn't say he evolved. He says, I'm leaving open my options and I'm being flexible. It's all about flexibility at this point, right? And in this way, he doesn't have to be specific because he can say, "I'm not going to reveal details."
Wait. But that would be a great answer to a lot of questions. But he only says that about Mr. Trump. Will you run on a third-party ticket? He hasn't said, "I'm being open. I'll be flexible" on anything else except for that.
He said that. He goes, "I have to look into it. I need to know more." And he doesn't give a specific, definitive, speaking in absolutes answer because that gives him a way out down the road.
He's also changed what he said, hasn't he? When it was first suggested that the government might be shut down over the Planned Parenthood issue, Trump came out actively supporting the idea. Today I listened to him and he was, well, I don't know, I got to see. So isn't he being a politician is my point.
I think he's learning. He is learning, like he's learning the lesson about being politically incorrect. I think he's learning as he goes forward, you know, that you can't say definitively this is the way it is because there might be something else to some of these things. And, you know, coming out and getting people to talk about you, coming out and getting people to talk about certain situations or policies, that's one thing. But when, you know, you have something that, like Planned Parenthood, that is so supported on one side and absolutely, you know, hated on another side, you have to take a look at how this is going to...
Stunningly sensible answer from you, Gilliam. Now we have to change the topic to what's getting into John Gilliam. He's getting very rational. You know, that makes sense, you know? Okay, that's we'll continue. I think we'll probably be talking about Trump some more. What do you think?
No.
Now we think this is it? All right.
No more Trump for the rest of the week.
It's up to you, Joe.
Kind of
you take it from here.
All right. Well, if you want to get your own Make America Great hat, just like the one Donald Trump wears, go to newsmax.com/TrumpCap or call 1-800-485-4360 to claim your free offer. That's a $25 offer. Free with this special offer. Again, go to newsmax.com/TrumpCap or call 1-800-485-4360. Coming up next, Donald Trump also talked immigration over the weekend. We'll tell you what he had to say. Stick around. 5-0. And welcome back to Daily Wrap. Let's check in with the great Steve Malzberg and see what he has planned for tonight. Stevie!
All right, Joe. Last week, of course, on Friday, we had the exclusive with Donald Trump. In case you folks missed it, you'll hear most of it on tonight's show. Also, his new plan for immigration, spelled deportation. And Hillary, the classified emails now number up to 300 and more, and there might have been a backup server. All that straight ahead, right after the Daily Wrap at 7 Eastern. Don't miss it.
Lord of the Manor, Steve Malzberg. Okay, in the second quarter of this year, the legal and illegal immigrant population hit a new record, 42.1 million. The reason for the new record? Illegal immigrants surging into America. 740,000 additional illegal immigrants snuck into the states over the previous year, in addition to Mexico. Growth in the immigrant population was led by about 450,000 increase in the last year from countries in Latin America other than Mexico. One man pushing for immigrant reform, you'll never guess, Donald Trump.
We have to make a whole new set of standards. And when people come in, they have to come in.
So you're going to split up families.
Chuck,
you're going to deport children.
Chuck, no. We're going to keep the families together. We have to keep the families together.
But you're going to keep them together out?
But they have to go.
What if they have no place to go?
We will work with them. They have to go. Chuck, we either have a country or we don't have a country.
That is the cleanest plane I have ever seen. I know it's private, but
you know it's a nice plane.
Oh, it's sharp. I got to get on that thing. Anyway, guys, obviously we have an immigration problem, but is it possible to deport tens of millions of people, Rick Unger?
Well, no, but I got to say this is very funny. I was checking my Twitter account during the break, and somebody wrote that I've been asking for Trump's immigration policy for 4 weeks, and now I said that it's too specific. This guy is prescient because we hadn't even talked about immigration yet, but apparently I was saying that, but I'm about to ruin his day. Much of what Trump said in his immigration policy not only made sense, but is very much in tune with the country and what they think. The one part that unfortunately doesn't make sense and is out of tune with the country is the notion of sending everybody back and then picking and choosing who you want to quickly, or as he said, on an expedited basis, bring back here. Look, I think you're going to find that Americans are not going to react well to the idea of somebody knocking on the door of a household that's been here for 15, 20 years, brought their 2-month child over here, and they're rounded up and taken back. That little child's never known a different country but the United States.
What if they were born here?
If they're born here, you can't legally do it at all to that kid. You can send the family back, but as Mr. Trump said, he doesn't want to break up families, and I'm not surprised, you know. Donald Trump's not a bad guy. I don't agree with him on a lot of things, but he's a decent human being. He doesn't want to do that. So I think at the end of the day, he knows, we know, you can't do it. You can't pull it off. Not to mention the fact it would cost an estimated $200 billion to even try and do that. So the rest of his plan, though, I actually thought had a lot of merit to it and a lot of support from Americans.
Bill, what do you think the reaction is going to be to specifics now around this plan,
Well,
particularly from the base that supports him?
I think that they are going to love this plan. I think that a lot of the points he makes are right on, and people have been saying them for years, and they've never had anybody else stand up and say it for them. So he's giving them literally a mouthpiece that they never had before. The problem with the deportation is that we have all been complicit, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, in allowing these people to enter the country illegally and giving them a tacit okay to be here. So we have Rick's right, just strategically, we can't round everybody up and send them back. Plus, everybody knows somebody, probably plenty of somebodies, who are here illegally and whom they like and they know. And the minute they find out they're coming to get them, you know, there'll be a giant backlash. But the plan itself is great, and I love some of the points he makes about hire Americans first. This needs to be a country for Americans before it's a country for anybody else. It's a great plan.
Jonathan, I think every landscaping business in my neighborhood would probably go out of business if this plan came about. Do you think Trump would have been wiser to say, we want to send back every criminal illegal immigrant that's in the country instead of going for the whole enchilada
support, wouldn't it?
Well, I think so, and I think, well, I think that that's one thing that definitely should happen, no matter who comes in, is that anybody that is commits a crime automatically gets deported. I don't care if it's drunk driving, but here's the problem: you know, you enter the country once illegally, it's a misdemeanor. You do it twice, it's a felony. So technically, everybody's a felon. Let me just say this one thing. Okay. Along with that, you know, we have two problems. It's keeping the people out, and then getting the ones that are in that need to be out. And I want to propose, if you go to my Facebook, Jonathan T. Gillum, you'll see that I'm proposing putting bases along the borders as well as a wall.
See, now I want to compliment him, and you took all the time. He did one thing. Trump did one thing I really liked. All this stuff about making Mexico pay for the wall. In his plan, he said the way he would do it is by imposing additional fees on people coming over. That was really smart. That is the way to do it.
Wow. The plan is the sun. Everything is aligned. Rick is agreeing with Donald Trump's amazing. Anyway,
when he's right,
let us know what you think about Donald Trump's plan for immigration. Go to newsmaxtv.com/comments. Let us know.
And welcome back to the Daily Wrap. There remains a great deal of political chaos regarding the nuclear deal we've made with Iran, as players are now switching sides. Just last week, the president of the opposition group United Against Nuclear Iran resigned after deciding that he felt morally obligated to support the deal. In the past week, a list of 30 ex-military generals and admirals wrote a letter of support, as did a number of American Jewish rabbis. But earlier this month, 4 prominent Jewish congressmen, most notably Charles Schumer of New York, came out in opposition to the deal.
I had many meetings with people on both sides. I had 3 classified briefings, because the 4 corners of the document don't always tell you exactly what you need to know. And then I came to my conclusion, which is very simply put, that the agreement has such weaknesses that it would be better to go back and try to renegotiate a new one.
Congress still has a month left to first vote if they want to disapprove of the deal, and we are expecting that they'll do just that, and then they will have to vote to override the expected veto that we believe the president would attach to that bill. But the latest news regarding the deal comes from Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who said on his website today that the fate of the deal is unclear. As of now, Khamenei has not officially endorsed the deal, but as we previously reported, he has said that the deal will not stop Iran from getting nuclear weapons, and he has also promised to block any American influence that may come as a result. Joe, we'll start with you. It's just, it gets crazier and crazier. People who you would expect to oppose the deal support it. People who I might have thought might have supported it oppose it. Khomeini is not exactly making life easier on this side if you want to support the deal. Where's this all going to go?
This is all going to go to Congress, ultimately, and they will have to decide whether this passes or it doesn't. With Schumer's being against the deal, still, from everything that you read, this probably will pass regardless of that happening. Schumer's the highest ranking Jewish member in the entire body, so good for him for coming out and standing by principle. Schumer gets a lot of heat from Republicans normally, but the way he came out against this is impressive. I just wonder if he'll now be included in President Obama's rhetoric as far as people in the streets of Iran chanting "Death to America," just like Republicans in Congress. Is Chuck Schumer now included in that group?
I don't know. Maybe.
Curious about that.
Let me ask you this, Jonathan. For people who are just regular people, and I certainly include myself because I've struggled to A, understand this deal, and B, try and make a decision as to what I think is right, irrespective of the politics. What do you do when people you might turn to give you a sense of what they believe when it's so divided? I look at these ex-generals and these ex-admirals, people who I would expect to have a certain point of view because of their background, and they surprise me. How does the average person decide if they're for this or not?
Well, first off, whenever you get anything that's this divisive, you know that they're playing politics with it.
That's very true.
And so you have to look at the reality of what this is. We were talking about earlier about politics and Donald Trump being in a political arena, so he's got to do some politicking. The reality with this deal is that this is a military deal. This is something that I believe from the get-go was a fake deal. Because Iran's they've got eternity to get what they want. They're eventually going to get what they want, just like in a car factory. If you steal one piece of the car every day, eventually you'll have a car. That's what they're going to do that regardless. So I just think that politicians are using this deal just like a reality TV show where they have to get this done real quick because of the deadline to get ratings, to get people behind it. But the reality is we should have never given the Iranians the position to where they could negotiate with us. We are the world power, and that's why we need a leader that understands when the military needs to be used and when diplomacy needs to be backed up by the military. In this case, it's completely dangerous what they're doing,
Bill,
I think.
One of the things we've been hearing lately as we read articles about this or listen to the media is that even if Congress were to oppose it, and we expect them to oppose it in their first act, and even if they cannot override the president, or if they did override the president's veto, that the president can still go ahead and do this anyhow.
That would be weird. No, that would be upsetting. That would be disastrous, because then that would be the president saying, "I am above the law. You guys overrode my veto, and I can't conceive of that happening." I don't like Obama, and I can't conceive of that
I'm actually going to agree with you, but I'm going to make one distinction there. I don't think he'd be saying I'm above the law if it's the law that allows him to do it anyhow.
No, but the action itself, going against the veto of Congress, would be.
That's my problem would be if Congress overrides that veto, then yeah, I agree. Congress is there to represent the people, and if they feel that strongly about it, then the president shouldn't go forward with it in view of that. But it's not going to be that he went above the law if it's the law that allows him to do it in the first place, which I don't really understand why that should be okay. It shouldn't. If Congress
should not be okay.
Congress overrides the veto, that should be it. Let us know what you think about the Iran deal, and let us know if you think it's going to go through. What do you think about Ayatollah Khomeini's comments about getting weapons? Go to newsmaxtv.com/comments. Let us know what you have to say. And coming up next, we're going to read some of your viewer comments. You don't want to go anywhere. They're very angry at me.
And welcome back to Daily Wrap. Let's read some of your viewer comments. First up, we have a comment from R. Sharp, who says, "I agree with Kim Davis." This, of course, was that whole situation around a clerk in Kentucky refusing a gay couple from getting married. So that's what we're talking about here. Why does she have to violate her own religious beliefs is the question. That is stupid and unconstitutional. Rick?
And Lee says, what does God think? In Book of Acts, the apostles were put in jail, beaten, and when released, they were commanded not to teach anymore in the name of Jesus. Their response was, it is better to obey God than man. Knowing gay marriage is an abomination in the eyes of God, Kim Davis has an obligation to refuse to marry gays.
Wow, big topic. Janine says the clerk who didn't want to issue marriage license to a gay couple was totally within her rights as far as I'm concerned. When she was elected to do her job, that was not a law. Today, she probably wouldn't run for that job knowing she would have to do that. I also think the fact that there were those who wish to have a discussion about it is a great idea, but it will never happen. That comes from Heather Hansen.
Linda says she needs to do her job and give the gay couple the license to marry. It's her job, and God can only be the one to judge the morality.
Okay, and Will says Kim Davis, staying within theme, the county clerk from Kentucky refused to issue marriage licenses due to their religious beliefs, has been married 4 times. Davis has been to court, and conservative federal judge Bunning, has ruled that she must issue the licenses. The day after the ruling, Davis again refused to issue the licenses. When Davis was elected, she took an oath to uphold the law. She is now breaking the law. How can she claim the freedom of religion defense when she has been divorced 3 times and married 4 times? Getting personal.
Pretty interesting. Nancy says the Kentucky county clerk should not have to sell same-sex couples marriage licenses, as she is an elected official and she was sworn into office with her hand on the Bible. Therefore, she must follow God's law first and foremost.
Interesting. Bill? Can we just jump to you real quick?
Yes,
You're shaking your head violently.
No, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. There is a difference between what is the law and what is God's law. The woman was elected to an office. She swore to uphold the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America. She can object as much as she wants to. That's fine. She can tell her church not to marry gay people, but she's an officer of the court.
Thank you.
Issue the damn license.
Get Hanson on the phone. Let's get her on the phone or to disagree with Mr. Tucker, but very definitive there.
There's
Thank
more
you.
coming on this, but good for you.
Eddie says, I am proud, gay conservative, and the clerk in Kentucky has every right to deny anyone a marriage license who conflicts with her religious beliefs. The 5 justices rewrote the definition of marriage, and they had no right to do what they did. No right.
And Roger says, I personally don't give a damn what Rick Unger thinks, neither does my wife, if he has that ability. Got it. However, I do believe strongly in the Bill of Rights. The First Amendment specifically states that Congress can pass no law impeding the free exercise of religion. In that vein, I don't believe the Supreme Court can override the Constitution, although the Dems think that they can. There's so much wrong with that, but go ahead, read this and then I'll get to it.
Bill says, ignorance shows itself when you open your mouth. Sheriff Joe, that's Arpaio, not Aprio, is not a media hound. He just has been elected to enforce the law. You can't understand what is happening out here reading it off your laptop. Stop hiring and giving freebies to them, and they will self-deport. God bless Sheriff Joe.
And Alexander says you are dead wrong about Sheriff Joe's motives. He was the only one to stand up and stop Obama in his tracks.
And James says, unless the state has officially made it a law for clerks to issue marriage licenses, back to that topic, retroactive back to before the clerk became a clerk, a judge cannot order a clerk to do it. The Supreme Court ruling was an opinion only and not a law. Now the clerk should have time to appeal the judge's ruling.
All right, now we've read a lot of those. I want to read everybody something because I want you to understand where I come from on this issue in Kentucky. I want to first point out any of you who have had a problem with President Obama swearing an oath and then breaking the law, as so many of you believe he has, on executive orders and other things. And by the way, I have written about where I think he's broken the law too. So it's not just a conservative or a liberal thing. If you think that President Obama violated his oath, then you have to be aware when a Kentucky county clerk violates her oath. Let me read what the judge, David Bunning, who is a conservative appointed by President George W. Bush. She may continue to attend church twice a week, participate in Bible study, and minister to female inmates at the Rowan County Jail. She is even free to believe that marriage is a union between one man and one woman, as many Americans do. However, her religious convictions cannot excuse her from performing the duties that she took an oath to perform as Rowan County Clerk. Folks, you can't be law and order and then decide not to be law and order when you don't like the result. It's that simple.
All right, and finally tonight, a slightly different topic. Glenn says, after the debate and Kelly's attempt, that's Megyn Kelly, attempt to put Trump down, I have switched to Newsmax and will not return to Fox. As a Tea Party person, I thank you for your availability, and thanks for being with us. We appreciate it. Okay, remember, if you want to weigh in on any of these issues we talk about here in the show, be sure to go to newsmaxtv.com/comments. That's newsmaxtv.com/comments. There it is. And let us know what you think. Up next, it's happy time for Yay or Nay. This is the Daily Wrap. And welcome back to Daily Wrap. It's time for Yay or Nay. Let's hear from Donald Trump, control room, because we haven't heard from him today at all.
Yes. Mr. Trump.
Yes.
Are you Batman?
I am Batman.
And that was Mr. Trump over the weekend telling 9-year-old William Bowman that he is Batman. Mr. Trump took the entire Bowman family for a ride in his helicopter after speaking at the Iowa State Fair on Saturday. I mean, he has a private plane, a helicopter, a tower, tons of money. Is Donald Trump Batman? And if he is Batman, is he Val Kilmer Batman? Oh, there he is. Look at that.
Ooh.
Oh, I could be Robin.
I knew you were the Joker.
I am the Joker.
I'm so much more better looking than Chris O'Donnell.
Green hair there.
Look at that.
I like the green hair.
The green hair is a nice touch.
All right. So
we didn't even have to color your lips. So is he Michael Keaton Batman, Val Kilmer Batman, George Clooney Batman, or Christian Bale Batman?
Well, I got to
Impressive
tell you,
idea.
I happen to know who Batman really is, so I'm afraid he's not Batman. But it was really cute the way he played with that kid. I liked it.
You did?
Yeah, I did.
Wow, he has his vote, I think, at this point,
Well,
Trump. With
not
all the
his vote.
praise you've been throwing his way.
That was cute.
Interesting. Jonathan.
I think he's the Christian Bale one.
Yeah, I agree
That's
with
what
that.
I'm saying.
Which was
Yeah,
the
they
best
look so
one.
much alike. Yeah.
Well, he kind of talks the same way.
No, I was going to go with the George Clooney Batman, just for
Right.
He'd like that.
Worst movie ever made. Worst movie ever
Right
made.
up there.
Yeah, and by the way, if you just come back on me for a second, I compared more than anybody besides Jim Carrey, already then, who played, is in one of the three of those ones,
Yes.
to Michael Keaton. That I am the Michael Keaton Batman.
Okay.
See it? Can you feel it?
No.
Okay. Anyway.
No. Please move
Or
on.
Birdman. Thank you,
Birdman,
control room.
yeah.
Anyway, this week marked the return of the Guardian Angels wearing their bright red jackets and hats. There you see Curtis leading them there, Curtis Sliwa. The crime-fighting group has been seen patrolling New York City Central Park for the first time in over 20 years. Is that a coincidence? Not quite. The group admits that crime is much better than it was in the 1980s when the group was at its peak, but their goal now is to keep it that way. Speaking of crime, it has gone up 26% this year, and homelessness has been on a steady increase as well. We see it every day walking here, trust me. Are the Guardian Angels New York City's answer to de Blasio's new New York? Bill Tucker.
Yes.
Jonathan Gilly.
I guess so. Looks that way.
Wow, so definitive ago.
First of all, crime in New York City is not up 26. It's actually down. Murder is up in New York City. Well, I mean, no, I understand that, but you have to make these divisions.
Right, too.
But other crime is down. But much more interesting to me, that looked like a reunion of camp counselors who were together in 1962. The thing that I found so funny about it is they got together in Central Park. If you know the parts of New York where it has gone up, the murder rate and everything else, it's not in Manhattan. So why are they patrolling Central Park?
The problem is I would have made fun of that, but I just recently worked with a woman, and she was getting off work and she was going to go walk her dog, and she was afraid to walk her dog in the daylight in Central Park.
Wow.
So there is a genuine fear among people who live in New York,
I don't know
especially
who,
women,
because we
who
live
don't
near
want
Central
to.
Park, and my wife, I will tell you, goes for a walk in the daytime every day
I know a woman who
in
runs to
Central Park.
but I'm just
so
saying
I
there's some
imagine
people
that same person might have had fear a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, because nothing's changed in Central Park. There are problems, to be sure,
Yeah.
but it's not really. I mean, something might have happened in Central Park. Things have always happened in Central Park, but I mean, it's just, to bend this stuff is kind of silly. They were doing it for political reasons. Curtis Sliwa doesn't like the mayor. I'm no big fan of the mayor either, by the way, but.
They
got the band back together
on the
again.
air on the radio in New York.
That was the longest yay I've ever heard.
Finally,
Tim,
tonight.
come on.
Third string quarterback Tim Tebow returned to football Sunday in a
Get him,
preseason
Tim.
game against the Indianapolis Colts in Philadelphia. The game did not go very well. Well, it kind of did for the former football phenom. He completed half of his passes for 69 yards, but did manage to end it on a high note by scoring a touchdown late. Take a look.
On the watch, starters ought to be in half the game. Pressure's going in. Touchdown.
And that highlight has been everywhere today. Is this the most overreported, meaningless preseason football touchdown by a third-string quarterback in history, Rick Unger.
No, what the negativity in this is crazy. Obama's got special meetings. This guy just getting too much coverage. He was great. What do you mean he had a bad game? He completed half of his passes and scored a touchdown. First time back in the NFL. Way to go, Tim
Probably
Tebow.
make the team. John, quickly. Okay, very good. The Tebow.
I second that. I'm with John.
Okay, all doing the Tebow. Very good. That's all for tonight. I'm Joe Concha. Tim Tebow fan will not be drafting in my fantasy league. On behalf of Rick Under and the rest of the panel, thank you for joining us tonight. Steve Malsberg, that's next.